So by now you should be confident enough to go and set up a gig-worthy preset with the AX8. What I want to talk about today are two parameters in the amp block that are very easy to get confused: the master volume and the level control, and they work in different ways even though they both increase the overall output when you turn them up. So let's get into that. So if we have a look in AX8 Edit, what I've done is I have set up my Friedman amp here with the master volume down to 2, and to compensate I've turned the level control up. And then on the Y state, I've done the opposite. I've turned the master volume up and I've turned the level down. They should be about the same level, but let's have a listen to the difference in using the master volume against the level. So if you set this up right and you have them at exactly the same volume, you can hear two very different tonal properties. Namely, that with the master volume quite low, you get less power amp distortion than with the master volume up high. So what that ends up giving you is a sort of tighter, less compressed sound, whereas having the master volume up is a little bit flubby. You get this beautiful power amp distortion happening, and they're good for different purposes. If you were going for a tight metal tone with a lot of preamp gain, you would want to use the master volume quite low and turn the level control up until it's where you want it. In contrast, vintage amps sound great cranked up. They're all about power amp distortion. If you think about all your favorite guitar tones from the 60s and the 70s, most of those rely on power amp distortion, not preamp distortion. So in that case, crank the master volume and use the level control to attenuate, essentially, that power amp distorted tone, which is pretty cool. Let's have a listen to the same thing, but with more gain this time. So the difference there is even more pronounced. You can hear that if you're trying to get a tight metal sound, having the master volume up actually sounds quite terrible. But for a classic rock kind of thing, it sounded better with the master volume up. As with all of these things, use your ears, not your eyes, and dial them into taste. There is no right or wrong way to do this. So the master volume affects the tone, the level control doesn't affect the tone, that just turns you up or down.